or not. So now we're going to go ahead and work with some word equations where they're asking us the same thing. Tell whether the two rates form a proportion. So here we have a scenario where it says 66 wins in 82 games. And is that equivalent to 99 wins in 123 games? So when you work with a word problem, you are going to work left to right is top to bottom. So here I've got wins would be my top over 82 games. Now, if you're just checking proportions, it wouldn't matter if you did that order. If you had flipped it around, did 82 over 66, that would be fine. But then you have to make sure in your second proportion that you match labels. I just like to work left to right because when I'm doing rates, that's usually how it's set up. So then here I would do 99 wins over 123 games. Okay, so now if I go through and it doesn't matter, decimals, cross products, I'm going to go ahead and do decimals on this one. So if I do the decimals, 66 divided by 82 gives me 0.804, and I'm going to write multiple just in case they're close. 99 divided by 123, 0.804. Okay, so I ended up with the same ones. So they look like they probably are, but I'm going to double check myself just by doing cross products, because then I don't have to compare all those decimals in my head. So if I do 123 times 66, it's going to give me 8,118. Okay, if I do 82 times 99, I did get the exact same answer. To me, it's just easier to compare this versus those really long decimal numbers. Even though the first three digits were the same, you never know if you get a long decimal number, if it changes further back, unless you write it all down, and that's kind of time consuming. So in this question, were the rates proportional? This would be a yes, they were proportional. Okay, so let's try another one. Okay, 440 calories and 4 servings. So 440, and that was my calories per serving, and then over 4 servings. And is that equivalent? So my 300 calories has to go on the top over 3 servings. So I can either check cross products, I can check the decimal form, I can reduce fractions. Here I would get 1,200. And here I would get, I think 1320, 440 times 3 is 1320. Are those the same? No, so this would be a no, they are not proportional, or they do not form a proportion. Okay, so I'm going to put one out here for you guys to try. Okay, 7 inches in 9 hours. And 42 inches in 54 hours. So I want you to go ahead and work your way through this one. You need to set it up as proportions, first of all, so those fractions, and then check to see if they're proportional. You should have ended up with a yes on this. Okay, so that's working with some basic word problems. Now I'm going to give you where they're going to give us story problems. So it's still the same thing. It's just that they're kind of putting it into a scenario. Okay, so I've got you swim your first 4 laps in 2.4 minutes. 4 laps in 2.4 minutes. You complete 16 laps in 12 minutes. Is the number of laps proportional to your time? So here, I'm going to go ahead, number of laps proportional to your time. So if I go through and set it up as proportions, it's not going to matter the order, but whatever order I choose in the beginning, I need to then do the same in my second setup. So if I set this up, if I did laps per minute, 4 laps over minutes, so 2.4 minutes. And then that means that in my second proportion, I need to do my laps first, 16 in 12 minutes. Okay, just making sure that you're matching your laps in the same level and your minutes in the same level. If you had them flipped over because you wanted to do minutes per lap, you'll notice here, I'll flip it over, that we should get the same answer either way. So in my first scenario, it was 2.4 minutes per 4 laps. And then, whoops, I better leave that off because I didn't put my label in the first one. And then in the second situation, it was 12 minutes for 16 laps. So either way, you're still cross multiplying the same numbers. See how we're still doing, if you're doing cross multiplying, 12 times 4 is 48, and 2.4 times 16 gives me 38.4. Okay, so in this situation, are they proportional? No, they're not the same. Okay, so this would be a no. They are not proportional. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give you guys one to do because it's the same thing. It's just giving it more into a story problem. So go ahead and try this one. You can do 90 sit-ups in 2 minutes. Your friend can do 135 sit-ups in 3 minutes. Are these rates proportional? I personally would do like sit-ups per minute, but if you want to do minutes per sit-up, kind of a strange answer, but I would do sit-ups as my top number and minutes as my bottom number. So go ahead, pause your video, and work your way through this one. So you, oh, whoops, sorry, I wrote that wrong. This should have been a yes. Because you ended up, if you reduced them down, you had 45 sit-ups per minute. In both situations, cross products, you end up with 270 for each one. Okay, that's pretty much it for this. The key thing on proportions is to make sure that if you're working out of story problems, you're matching labels and you're setting up your both scenarios in the same order. Otherwise, remember, you can check to see if they're proportional by changing them into decimals, changing them into equivalent fractions, or checking your cross products.